I'm probably starting to sound like a broken record by now, but I really don't understand why Hazy Maze Cave is considered the 6th course. I understand that everyone's playthrough order will vary just a bit, but in the case of these basement stages, most people will naturally jump into the lava painting since that's the first thing they'll see. But whatever, I'll keep it in listed order for consistency purposes. The stage is true to its name. It's a maze, in a cave, and it's hazy. I mean, even if you ever just looked at a map for this stage, it's easily one of, if not the most complex layouts. Even the entrance is weird. Rather than entering into a painting, there's a weird goop on the floor that you're meant to jump into. There's a general circular route that you can maneuver through by going either right or left at the start, and at the end of the circuit, you can technically end back in the starting area, although you'll realistically find a star before making it back there. I can tell you from now, due to the way the stage is laid out, there will be a handful of stars here that make it to the list of redundancies because you're sent back to the beginning of the level. And this is perhaps the first stage where I might be able to argue almost all of the stars should keep you in the stage, and it's in a player's best benefit to do so. The maze has multiple different landmarks that will be pretty memorable, but since the layout is more complex here, I think it's better to discuss those landmarks as you would pass through them, rather than give you a general overlay. First off, as with many other areas in the game, the aesthetic and atmosphere here is spot on. This is a difficult stage, and you'll feel it as soon as you enter. It's not cheerful, nor does it give you uneasy vibes because it's in an ocean or a haunted house. Rather, it plops you down into a serious stage, and you will quickly note how serious everything is throughout. And if players don't sense that seriousness, they quickly will as soon as they start looking for the first star and inevitably get lost. There are minimal maps in the stage that someone could try and make sense of, but as you traverse through the stage, you'll realize there's quite a bit of thinking to do through most of it. And matters are made worse because the very first star of the stage is one that you'll have to search for in the deepest depths of the cave. You have to find the swimming beast in the cavern, aka Dory, whom I always used to call Swimming Blue Yoshi. A player will have an immediate fork in the road in front of them when they begin the stage. One direction will have them dodging enemies and holes in the ground, and the other will require a long jump over a bottomless pit. But all in all, either route you take will be of similar difficulty, and both can technically get you around the map. I always favor the long jump, so we'll move that way. As soon as you make it across, you'll find that you're in a giant room with boulders everywhere. There are multiple exits in this room, and you have to be careful not to fall in the middle or you'll lose a life. The first door on your route will actually lead you to the same room you would have gone if you had just gone to the right at the start of the course. And the second door will take you to a deeper and more streamlined hazy maze with poisonous gas around you. The third route from the big room with the boulders will take you along a path where you'll have to dodge boulders and ultimately lead to a door. This is the path you'd want to take, because opposite of that door is a platform elevator that'll take you down into the depths. Now, keep in mind, that all sounds very simple when I break it down that way. But if a player decided to move to the right, they'd be stuck in a giant room. We'll revisit that room when we want the red coins. And as they search that area, they'll likely end up in a poisonous gas area, followed by most likely finding an exit that'll take them back into the big room. I realize most of you understand what a maze is and how that works, but I think it's important to break this all down because it is not uncommon for a player that doesn't have a map in front of them to spend upwards of 20 minutes per star if they can't get their bearings around where everything is in this stage. And because of how complex everything is, and how you don't know where every star is until you find it, this could easily end up being the longest stage in the entire game. First-time players may give up without getting a single star and not return to the stage unless they're going for full completion. It's that kind of complex. Regardless, when you do eventually make it to the elevator room and drop down to the lowest depths of the cave, a quick swim to Dory will help lead you to a star. Of course, you'll have to figure out that ground pounding and bringing down her head will allow you to stand on top of it and steer her based off the direction you're facing, but that's all part of the puzzle-solving mystery here. You'll notice there are also 2 additional routes in this room, however, and this is, right off the bat, the first instance where I actually have an issue with returning to the hub world after collecting a star. The door ahead will lead you to a secret area that unlocks the green metal cap. So now, not only did you have to go through this maze to figure out how to get to the first star, I hope you memorize how you made it here, because you have to do it all again to get the metal cap. That, in and of itself, for most stages, isn't that big of a deal for me, but because this one is much more complex and you'll probably already be spending way too much time in here already, this is a horrible, unintentional punishment. After you unlock the metal cap, there will be a green box for you to collect the metal cap from next to the elevator and a switch near the bottom where Dory is that will open the next path in the watery area. There you will be able to collect star number 3 for this stage, Metalhead Mario Can Move. And again, due to how complex the stage is, and how much time you'll spend figuring out this location, it feels like an unintentional punishment to force players to come here 2 or even 3 times because there's so much more of the stage to explore, and this cavern is off the main path, so why continue to force players to come here? Moving back to star number 2 is the red coin star, titled Elevate for 8 red coins. There's only one room here that has the red coins, so hopefully you'll notice them up top when you enter the room. They're up above you, hence the elevate, and as you climb up there will be some Dance Dance Revolution looking platforms that you can use to get Mario around. I think this red coin star is pretty hated, but I actually like the challenge it provides. It's less of a scavenger hunt and more of a test of the patience and control of Mario. As long as you're up there long enough and you're careful and you do your due diligence, you'll be able to succeed. The issue I imagine most people have is that if you fall down, you'll have to get back up there again and maneuver the slow elevator platforms all over again. But I think that's part of the frustrating charm of this objective. It's less about searching and more about overcoming the challenge. This is a very memorable star in the game for me, and one that I was very proud to accomplish. Star number 4 is titled Navigating the Toxic Maze. By now, a player will realistically be comfortable enough to reach the Toxic Maze room. Experimental players might even realize that the green cap will allow Mario to avoid damage from the poisonous gas. But there's a bit of an issue here. You'll run around the toxic cave and won't be able to find a star anywhere. I can't be the only one that was so frustrated by this. The anxiety of Mario losing his health and me going after every enemy in the room hoping one of them will give away a star. Man, Hazy Maze Cave is just such an annoying level. Like, I can feel what I felt the first time playing it almost 30 years ago. It's crazy that even the frustration leads me to nostalgia. In any case, at some point, if you're looking long enough, you'll notice a hidden elevated platform you can backflip onto, and it'll take you up and through the door and into the room that has the power star. Star 5 and 6 are equally as hidden and annoying. Number 5 is titled Amazing Emergency Exit. I'm not sure why, it's found at the very top of the room with the falling boulders, but you actually won't know that until you go on a hunt around the stage. When you enter the toxic gas area, there's a simpler exit that will lead you to a platform that'll bring you to the top of the room with the boulders, and the star can be reached by monkey barring across the red mesh. It's a horribly named star because it doesn't really provide hints, but it's very much a star that requires searching all over the stage. Star number 6 is at least better named. Watch for falling rocks. If you consider the rolling boulders are falling rocks, it's pretty easy to figure this one out. But it will take some wall jumping and exploration to find out how to get up there. It's comfortably hidden, but you should be able to find it eventually if you're curious enough. All that would be left now is the 100 coin star. Oh man, this is easily a top 3 worst mission in the game. The stage is large and spread out, and it's a maze. If you haven't memorized the layout, good luck. There are so many death traps too. You might have to restart after collecting 70 or 80 coins. Even the blue coin box is one of those annoying ones that won't easily just lay out the blue coins for you. You'll have to actually work for them. The red coins are obnoxious too and will require a whole load of time to collect them to help you get to the 100 coins. Everything is just so spread out that you're almost certainly likely to face 1 or 2 stupid deaths and have to start over. I remember I reached 100 coins while monkey barring on the mesh when I was younger, and when the star spawned, it was on top of the mesh. And before I could grab it, I fell down and lost my life. And actually, I'm pretty sure you can't even get on top of the mesh. This is a super frustrating mission. It's one that only the most diehard and stubborn of fans will complete. It's not impossible, I won't even go as far as to say it's a bad inclusion in the game, but damn do they make you work for it. But this course in general feels like that. You have to search, you have to find everything, and even if you do find the stars, they're not really all that simple to grab. There are too many locations you'll have to frequently revisit and relearn the locations of the map. So many different doors that lead to different areas. Strangely enough, the more you run through this map, the more confusing it becomes. It's not even like there's a benefit of reorienting yourself when you get a star, because you might have just gone through 7 different doors until you ended up in the right location of where the last star was. The 2 stars in the cave below plus the green cap means you return to that cavern too many times, and there's just no real intrinsic or extrinsic benefit of doing so. 1 time is plenty, so that's 1 star so far. When you get to the red coins on top of the map, there's no real reason or benefit to return to the start of the stage because you're already moving along the path of the course, so that's 2 stars. And then you basically have 2 stars in the location of the poison gas. One of them takes you to a dead end, so I can see the benefit of it sending you back to the start. But the other one just puts you on top of the main boulder room, and there's really no need to exit the stage at that point. So that's 3 stars. And the one with the falling boulders is literally right along your path, so being sent back to the start is a waste of time. So that's 4 out of the 7 stars in the stage that I think are actually worse off because it sends you back to the beginning. In Jolly Roger Bay, when it was 3 stars that I said the redundancy was felt, that was largely because of how painstakingly slow it felt to move Mario. You could maybe argue, if you enjoy swimming, that those 3 stars might not be so redundant to get kicked out of the stage for. In the case of Hazy Maze Cave, there was almost no benefit of being sent back to the beginning, because restarting the course is actually worse for the player. You're still lost, you're still searching, you're still going back to the same area, and by the end of it all, heading back to the beginning of the stage doesn't really offer you any assistance since you're frequently and confusingly running through the same path. In Boo's Haunt, that wasn't as much of an issue because for the most part that stage was less confusing and the paths to the stars were often linear and led to an endpoint where it was in your benefit to be sent back to the beginning before looking for the next star. But here, it's like being sent back to a specific point at the bottom of a circle and being required to continue to go around that circle to the same area with the slightest of differences. Once or twice, I can forgive as learning the stage, especially when it comes to something more linear like Whomp's Fortress with its 2 paths side by side. But due to the complex nature of Hazy Maze Cave, the ease of which a player can lose a life, The reality that you'll probably get lost starting from the very first star, so you're already probably going to be seeing most of the map earlier on, and just by nature of how confusing and repetitive many of the stars in the stage are, I think, hands down, so far, this is the one stage where someone could make a long list of complaints about how terrible Mario 64 is, explicitly because you're sent back to the beginning of the hub world after every star. The mechanic just doesn't lend itself well here at all. I can yield that. I say 4 of the stars, but if you made an argument that all 6 of them shouldn't send you back, I could see a case for it. But I'm sticking with my number because I think one of the cave stars and the star at Caged Off Dead End after the poison gas are in the benefit of the player to return to the beginning of the stage. So we're at 10 out of 42 stars now that I feel like are redundant or worse off because Mario gets sent back to the hub world after collecting stars. Regardless, despite this jarring issue, I can't say I hate this stage. It's difficult, but it's a difficulty I enjoy, and it's very memorable as a result. This stage is great for a final challenge, and I have to imagine most first-time players will quickly leave it on the back burner and only return to it later on when they want to go for full completion, which is yet another highlight of how good they nailed the dynamic of progression through this title, so that people of all skill levels can enjoy it. And now it's time to leave the maze behind us, and we're going to head towards the fiery depths of Lethal Lava Land.